Why do we lead? This is the fundamental question every person in authority must ask. In law enforcement, the answer seems obvious. To ensure safety, to uphold the law, to protect the community. But beneath those goals lies a deeper purpose. We lead to build teams capable of achieving those goals. We lead to inspire people to be their best, especially when the stakes are highest. And here we face a critical choice: lead through control or lead through trust. This choice defines micromanagement versus true accountability. Accountability is not about control. It is about responsibility. It starts with a clear sense of purpose, a why every officer understands. When people know why the rules exist and why standards are high, they hold themselves and each other to those standards. Accountability is the structure that lets people operate with confidence and skill. It's the guardrails on the road, not a hand gripping the steering wheel. It provides direction and safety, but trusts the driver to navigate. Micromanagement comes from a different place, not from a desire to empower, but from a fear of losing control. A micromanager does not trust the team to drive. They grab the wheel at every turn, they slam the brakes unexpectedly, they constantly fiddle with the mirrors. That style says, "I do not trust you to do your job." It assumes without minute-by-minute oversight things will go wrong. It focuses on the how and suffocates the why. In policing, this is not academic. It's life and death. Imagine two different police squads. Both are tasked with the same mission: reduce property crime in one neighborhood. The leader of the first squad chooses the path of trust. She begins by clearly explaining the why. The people in this neighborhood deserve to feel safe in their homes. Our job is to restore that sense of security. That is our purpose. She sets clear, achievable goals. Reduce burglaries 15% in 3 months. She ensures her officers have the resources, training, intelligence. She then trusts them to do the work. This leader fosters an environment of true accountability. She checks in on progress, not on process. She reviews weekly crime statistics and discusses trends with the team. She asks, "What are you seeing out there? What challenges are you facing? What support do you need from me?" Her focus is on the outcome and on the well-being of her officers. When an officer makes a good arrest or develops a new community contact, she celebrates that success publicly. If a tactic isn't working, she leads a discussion on what they can learn and how they can adapt together. The team feels a sense of ownership. Now consider the second squad, led down the path of control. He dictates every patrol route, specific streets at specific times. He requires them to call him on the radio before initiating even the most routine field interview. He reviews every single report for grammatical errors and formatting issues, sending them back for minor corrections. He is constantly on the radio, asking for status updates and questioning small decisions. The message this leader sends is one of profound distrust. He is not focused on the goal of reducing crime. He is obsessed with controlling the actions of his people. The officers on this team feel like cogs in a machine, not trusted professionals. They stop thinking for themselves because their thinking is not valued. They stop taking initiative because any deviation from the leader's prescribed method is met with criticism. Morale plummets. The officers do the bare minimum required to avoid scrutiny, and their connection to the greater purpose, protecting the community, fades into the background. A trusted officer can think, adapt, and make sound decisions under pressure. The damage caused by micromanagement runs deeper than just bad morale. It creates a toxic culture that systematically erodes the very qualities we need most in our police officers: judgment, initiative, integrity. When a leader relentlessly corrects every minor action, they are effectively training their officers not to use their own judgment. The officer learns that survival and success depend on pleasing the supervisor, not on serving the public. They stop asking, "What is the right thing to do here? What does the sergeant want me to do here?" This erosion of initiative is a critical failure. Police work is dynamic and unpredictable. No policy manual or supervisor can anticipate every variable an officer will face on a call. We rely on officers to be proactive problem solvers. But a micromanaged officer is a reactive officer. Why would they try a new approach to de-escalate a tense situation if they know they will be criticized for not following a rigid, pre-approved script? Why would they spend extra time building rapport with a community member if they know their supervisor is timing their calls for service? Micromanagement kills the spirit of innovation and replaces it with a culture of compliance. Furthermore, this style of leadership creates an environment where honesty is punished. When small mistakes are treated like major failures, officers learn to hide them. An officer who made a minor procedural error during a search might be tempted to omit that detail from their report, fearing the inevitable lecture from their micromanaging supervisor. This is a dangerous path. It starts with hiding small errors and can escalate to concealing more significant problems. A culture of true accountability makes it safe to report mistakes, because the goal is learning and improvement, not blame. Ultimately, the micromanager loses the one thing a leader cannot function without: the respect of their team. So, how do we build the right system? Well, how do we create a culture of strong accountability without falling into the trap of micromanagement? The answer lies in shifting our focus from controlling actions to inspiring belief and measuring what truly matters. It begins with the leader defining reality and providing a clear vision. This is not about a long, complicated mission statement. It is about simple, direct communication. It is about saying, this is where we are, this is where we need to go, and this is why it is important. The first practical step is to establish clear and simple standards. Rules should be few, memorable, and directly linked to the core mission of safety ethics service. Instead of a 100-page manual on report writing, create a one-page checklist of the 5 most critical elements. Instead of a complex matrix for use of force decisions, focus training on core principles and legal precedents. When you clarify the standards, you are not telling people how to think. You are giving them the framework within which to think. This clarity empowers them to act with confidence. Second, leaders must commit to consistent and purposeful training. Training should not be a box-ticking exercise. It should be realistic, scenario-based, and focused on decision-making under stress. Use these sessions as a laboratory for your team. Let them practice. Let them make mistakes in a safe environment, and then lead a debrief focused on learning. Ask questions like, what was your thought process at that moment? What other options might have been available? This approach demonstrates that you trust them to develop their skills and that you are invested in their growth, not just in their compliance. Finally, you build accountability by measuring outcomes, not activities. Do not measure the number of traffic tickets an officer writes. Measure the reduction in traffic accidents on their beat. Let's look at 2 concrete examples to see how these 2 paths diverge in the real world. Imagine a scenario where a new policy requires officers to activate their body-worn cameras before every public interaction. A leader focused on true accountability would handle this by first explaining the why.
She would say, "This policy is here to protect you from false complaints and to build trust with our community. It is a tool for transparency that makes us all safer."
Graphic trust and purpose in center. Arrows to clear standards training measure outcomes.
She would train the team on the mechanics of the camera
And then set a clear expectation. Her accountability system would involve a periodic, random audit of camera footage. Perhaps once a month, she reviews a small sample of videos from each officer.
She is not looking to punish an officer who forgot to activate their camera once. She is looking for patterns. If an officer is consistently failing to activate their camera, she has a private coaching conversation with them. She asks, "I've noticed a pattern here. What's getting in the way? Is it a technical issue? A training issue?"
She seeks to understand and solve the root cause. The team sees the system as fair and supportive. Now, consider the micromanager's approach to the same policy.
He would likely assume evasion, demand radio check-ins, and comb every second for minor deviations, turning a tool for safety into a weapon of control.
The choice between leading through trust and controlling through fear is a choice every leader makes every single day. It is reflected in the questions we ask, the feedback we give, the systems we build. Moving from micromanagement to true accountability is not an overnight transformation. It is a journey. It strengthens teams, improves performance, and keeps officers and communities safer. It starts with the belief that people want to do good work. Our job is to give clarity, tools, and trust. To build this culture, commit to a few key actions. First, communicate the why behind every standard and mission. Replace ambiguity with clarity. Second, train for judgment, not just compliance. Create safe spaces for officers to learn and grow. Start small. Choose one frustrating rule. Ask its purpose, explore better ways, and truly listen. That is the first step toward real trust and lasting accountability.